Hey everybody, I just want to quickly clear up one point of confusion. So at Life's Journey, we talk a lot about rest, resting in Christ, resting in the finished work of Christ. And so I just want to quickly go over what that exactly means. So many believers unfortunately think that resting in Christ means inactivity or moral laziness. We're just all sitting around on the couch eating Cheetos and doing nothing for Christ. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You see, morality isn't the goal of the Christian life anyway. The goal of the Christian life is knowing Christ, knowing and enjoying Him. Period. That's the point. And so the ultimate irony is this: resting in Christ produces the most work for Christ. It actually produces the most morality. How so? Well, resting in Christ means this. Here's a great definition of what I mean by resting in Christ. It is living in freedom from the burden of trying to do the work only Christ could. Living in freedom from the burden of trying to do the work only Christ could. You see, unfortunately, what a lot of believers are hearing on social media and maybe even at church on Sundays is marching orders. They're giving marching orders by their fellow Christians or by their pastors. They're giving these moral exhortations just constantly. And here's the problem with marching orders. Just giving marching orders alone, it really doesn't produce what the pastor or the Christian thinks it's producing. In fact, the only thing marching orders produce is either insecurities or Pharisees, self-righteousness. That's really all marching orders produce. They actually don't produce the morality and the work for Christ that is desired. You see, so believers don't need marching orders. What they actually need is the refreshment in Christ and His love. You see, marching orders actually don't motivate love for God or neighbor at all, but the love of Christ does. That's what motivates us. That's why Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5:14 through 15, he says, "For it is Christ's love that compels us, because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And He died for all, that those who live should no longer live for themselves, but for Him who died for them and was raised again." So do you see here how Paul is using the love of Christ shown to us through the cross compels us. It compels us forward to work for Christ. So Paul is using the gospel to motivate us, not marching orders. And so I think that's just, if you're a pastor and you're listening to this, I think that's just, just so important because if you're giving a lot of marching orders, really all that's doing, it's coming across to your people as threatening, exacting, tiresome, and ultimately Christless. So pastor, if you want a proud or despairing flock, then continue preaching marching orders. But if you want a joyful and motivated flock, preach like Paul, which is preaching Christ and Him crucified. That's how you'll find rest for your soul, pastor, and that's how you will give rest to your people. Okay, well, that's it for this week. If you guys have any questions, please shoot me a message, and I will try my best to quickly answer them. Love y'all.